Welcome to the Lessons from Your Hairstylist podcast, where we uncover and leverage your unique beauty and personal style. I'm your host, Sarah Cruz, a beauty industry educator and hairstylist with 30 years experience. This show is dedicated to providing you with insights and practical advice for living a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. Experience that special stylist-client bond right here as we dive into conversations with experts in beauty and wellness. Here, you'll gain valuable tips on personal style and self-care to empower your journey. Join me to unlock the secrets to living beautifully well while elevating your lifestyle, mind, body, and spirit. Your appointment is now, so have a seat and get ready for transformation. Well, hello and welcome to the Lessons from Your Hairstylist podcast. I'm your host and hairstylist friend, Sarah Cruz. And I'm so excited that you're here with us today because I want to talk to you about something that I feel like might change your life. And it's something that has really transformed my life. And it's a tool. It's really, it's like a mechanism that you can implement into your everyday life, into your way of thinking that you can truly use to make huge strides in things that you may be dreaming about, you may be thinking about, as in the future, you may see yourself in a certain vision. And sometimes these things can seem kind of impossible. We might be in a place where, it seems like it's too far from here to there, but there's something that you can do. I think that the biggest issue we have sometimes is how. It's the how. Like, how do I get from where I am now to where I want to go? And this is a tool that I actually discovered on my own years ago in my journey of getting to do the things in my personal and professional life that I, really dreamed about. And it was kind of like this very lofty vision, but it was always in the back of my mind, kind of. And I realized that over time, once I started to achieve these things, it was actually my own doing that did this, but there was a word for it, and I didn't really know what it was. I was kind of using this tool all along and never could put my finger on what exactly was driving the success. And it's manifestation. And if you've ever heard that word and thought to yourself, like, okay, that's not really like a tangible tool. This is sort of like a way of thinking. It's a mindset thing, something like that. And you're kind of like, it's kind of woo-woo, And you think, well, yeah, it's good for some people, but it probably wouldn't work for me. Or you might be somebody who does use manifestation in your journey, in your life. But I do want you to stay open if you have sort of a type of way of thinking about this and you think it couldn't work for you, because I will tell you that every good thing that has happened in my life, and a lot of the negative things that have happened, I actually brought those things on myself. And I think learning how to really kind of hone in on this tool and hone in on this mechanism is very valuable. It's a very valuable skill to have. And now that I've kind of learned that I was doing this all along, I've really started to intentionally use this tool in the last probably year or so. So I'm very excited today to get to introduce you to someone who I've been following for quite some time. She is someone who is also in the beauty industry. And as you know, one of the things that really drives me to do this podcast is to bring a part of myself that I would be giving to my clients behind the chair, that relationship, and sort of bring it out there so that whether you're a beauty professional or you're a listener who is interested in beauty, bettering your life, things like that, you can get a glimpse into some of the people who may be inspiring and educating and coaching those that are doing your services. So today I have on the amazing Anna Lambert. She is a hairstylist of over 24 years. She is a 7 times certified hair extension specialist. So she does all kinds of methods, and she is really versed, a real expert in hair extensions. But the other thing that she does is she coaches and she teaches other hairstylists how to realize their dreams in the beauty industry, and specifically when it comes to building a hair extensions business. So she's a very skilled hairstylist, accomplished stylist herself. She has the Woo Woo Hairstylist podcast. So when we were talking about woo woo, Anna truly incorporates manifestation into her life and into her career in a very intentional way. And she's been studying this for quite some time. She's been coached on it. She's been learning about it. And I'm excited that we get to learn about some of these strategies today that she teaches to her students. And it's kind of an inside look that you get into those who are teaching those of us in the beauty industry to be better for ourselves and better for you as well. So I just want to say hello to Anna. Thank you so much for coming on and being with us here on the Lessons from Your Hairstylist podcast.
Oh, Sarah, you are so sweet. Thank you for having me. You reached out to me and shared with me your journey of wanting to start this amazing podcast. I love the mission that you have behind it. And, again, I'm here to support everybody on their mission. I want every hairstylist just to be successful. But just everything that you described in what your podcast is about. So many people, I just feel it with your heart and the way you show up on Instagram. And I remember there was a post of you dancing with one of your clients. I'm like, I like this girl. Your heart and your fun ways of being just showed right through that, your Instagram. And so when you reached out to me, I was like, okay, she's going to go far with this one. You're going to do so well. And I'm really excited for you. And thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
I love that. And thank you so much. That means a lot to me because I want to tell this story. I found you because, like you said, when I went on this journey of starting this podcast, and like many people who were just starting on something that could seem very overwhelming, and you and I talked about it.
Yeah.
Something like starting a podcast is, it's kind of scary. We had some tech issues at the beginning. So I was like, and that's the kind of stuff that can kind of hold you back. You might be sort of afraid of, all this stuff could go wrong. But that was some of the stuff that I feared was, well, what if this, what if that? And I thought, well, let me go out into the podcast field and see if I can find someone who's in the space that's already doing what it is that I would like to be doing, and see if I can't get a glimpse into their journey by seeing what are some of the earlier episodes that they did, and just see if I was anywhere in the ballpark of, where I should be at this point in time, just starting out. And I came across your podcast, and what I shared with you before, what I started out doing was a little research project. But what happened was as I started listening to your content and listening to you speak and listening to you talk about the way that you've transformed so many parts of your life and how you've been able to achieve success through manifestation, and really making it clear as to how you incorporate that. And you're teaching other stylists out there on the podcast and in your business. I started listening. I wasn't even researching anymore. I was just a student. And I was listening and I was taking all of this in, and I was like, oh my God, it's this is what I needed to hear. And that's part of manifestation. I think it's the how. You don't know how something's going to happen, but then things start to show up for you. And so I would just love to start out, if you could just tell us a little bit about you, kind of what your journey's been like, and sort of how manifestation has played into that from, within your career, where you started and where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to condense everything because my journey's been a long one, over 24 years in the business. So I literally went from a college dropout after 3 weeks of being in college to ex-corporate girl in finance to ultimately becoming an administrative assistant for Joe Mastalia at DePasquale Salon Systems. So maybe some hairstylists may know the beauty distributorship. I did that. And then while working for him, I went to cosmetology school at night. And then while I was doing that on Saturdays, I worked at a hair replacement center. So ultimately, and that's where I got a lot of my hands-on experience with hair extensions. And so at that point, I then transitioned and went all in to be a hairstylist, a hair extension specialist. I did do other services, but that was my meat and potatoes. And I worked at several salons. So I did that. Ultimately, throughout that whole journey, it was like falling on flat on my face, picking myself back up, falling flat on my face, picking myself back up, whether it came to selling my prices, extension prices, building my extension clientele, all the things, learning new extension methods, you know? And so at some point, I was doing very well, but I wanted more. And that's what evolving and growing is about. I think us as humans were meant to evolve and grow, and I wanted more. And so at that point, I joined a 3-month course by PIP University. They don't have it anymore. They actually teach salon owners with a team. And after that, I then mentored hairstylists. I was an employee for PIP University. So at some point, and I'll get to the manifestation part, this is why I'm trying to condense it all. So at some point, Heather, who's the founder of PIP University, her and I talked, and she knew of my entrepreneurial spirit. And so ultimately, I transitioned and then mentored hairstylists that wanted to build a thriving hair extension business, build an extension clientele through marketing and really effective business strategies. So I love, and I think you know this, Sarah, with the journey that you're on, I love sharing knowledge and helping people. It is probably one of the most fulfilling things, especially being in the industry as long as I have. And I feel like you've been in the industry for several years as well. And after a while, it's like, you know, these skills, you learn a couple of things and it's like, what am I going to do? Take this with me? I want to pass this on.
Right.
And that's what it's about, passing on what we're really good at least for me, it is. And so this is where I then said, you know what? Manifestation, I'll get into how that started in my life, but this is how I said to myself, yeah, and guess what? You could teach all that and help those that want to adopt a spiritual path to the power of manifestation. And I've said this time and time again, you know, it's like you could have all the strategies in the world, all of them, right? They're at our fingertips. We could literally Google it and it'll come up. But if you don't have your energy and you don't have your mindset there to support you, it's going to be a really tough uphill battle. It's like one of the things that Tony Robbins says. Okay, so this is how I kind of went into the whole manifestation. It started many years ago. I don't know if you heard of Tony Robbins, but he's an author. Okay, so you have.
Oh, yes, for
For
sure.
anyone that might not know who he is, he's an author, he's a speaker, he's a coach, and it's all about inner development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it's in every aspect of our lives. And at the time, I'll never forget, I was in a very toxic relationship. It was really bad. 2-year toxic relationship. One of my girlfriends, Nicole, shout out to Nicole, she said to me, Anna, you know what? Why don't you listen to this? And she handed me over these tapes. Okay, this is how long ago I'm going.
Tapes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was
I
on a
hear you.
tape.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
So I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. She's like, I just think you need to hear this. And I did. And it was the beginning of learning what a healthy relationship was. And I would literally listen to these tapes on my way to work and on my way home every day for like a year. Okay. Or every day that I worked at the salon, it was just my go to. I didn't listen to music or anything. I really needed that. So that was kind of the start. And then at that point in 2006, The Law of Attraction by Rhonda Byrnes, I believe is how you pronounce her name. Then she came out with that movie. And that was my manifestation awakening. Okay. And that there was something about it that I heard that I was just so drawn to. And I'm like, holy shit, I loved everything about it. From then on, I want to say from 2015 on, that's when things just accelerated. I had this hunger and determination to learn all about it, the inner development. You know, I've done breath work. I've gone to yoga retreats. I've done some weird shit. Uh, Unleashed the Power with Tony Robbins. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. It's insane. I went to a retreat where you didn't say anything, you couldn't use your words or anything like that. So a lot of silence. And I remember on one of them with the meditation portion of it, something that people say is we have an inner knowing and intuition. But a lot of times what happens is it's shut down as children or, parentals, whoever our caregivers are. It's just like it's shut down. And through meditation, one of the things that I realized it was probably like this was like a holy fuck moment
Yeah.
where it was 2 days of meditation. And when I tell you it was like hours and hours, it was at the Omega Institute. I was with my cousin. And the person running it, his name is Kyle Cease. And he said, ask yourself a question that you want an answer to before you go in. And so I did. And the second day, the answer came. I was like, that's my soul. I don't mean to sound corny, but it was like, that was my soul talking to me. And when people say, well, how do you know the voice is really coming from the depths of who you are, your essence versus like it's in your head? It's
Hmm.
because there's no energy behind it. It is so calm. It's not too high. It's not too low. It just is. And it
Hmm.
answered my question. I was like, I was like, wow, that's what all these people talk about.
Hmm.
So I've experienced that. It was amazing.
I've had that experience before.
You have.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I just want to, I want to kind of go to what you said. I did have that question many times in my life before I even knew how to define manifestation.
Yeah.
I would hear a voice in my head, but I didn't know if it was just the voice in my head or, like you said, it was really coming from this divine place inside of me or, within, whether it was in me, the universe, or combined. I felt like I would know if it was really me or if it was just a voice in my head or if it was really this divine sort of entity or if it, and I think you're right. I think the way that you described that was there wouldn't be the energy behind it. It would just be. It's just be, and it's not
Yeah.
like you just, yeah, I don't know. I think the way you described that is just so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And
Yes.
I was like, okay, like crazy, right? So, becoming I'm going to kind of back it up a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I went from a super super shy kid like to the point that I would hang on to my mom's like, hide behind her. I
Mhm.
would go to family parties and I'd be with my cousins who were quiet. We just observe people, just
Yeah.
super shy kid
Yeah.
to then as time went on becoming this workhorse. And when I say workhorse, not in a healthy way. Like I
Right.
I became a workhorse in a very unhealthy way. To then partying hard with my friends on the weekend. And it was just to escape. And it
Mhm.
was always chasing that buzz. Like and it wasn't good. I would black out a lot of times. I mean, at the time I thought it was funny as hell, but it really wasn't,
Mhm.
knowing what I know now.
Right.
And then ultimately marrying and then having my daughter, having a child. Especially having a child, it's like everything shifted, everything shifted. And it's one of those things when you have a child, like for anyone that's listening, they are, they teach us lessons. They really do. And I didn't
Absolutely.
realize this. It's
Oh,
not like I
right.
knew this.
Right.
There's an amazing book. It's called The Conscious Parent. And
Mm.
in there it says like we could either call our kids to greatness or we could knock them down. We could like call them to failure by
Mm.
criticizing them, putting them down, and all the things. So at that point, I guess I was just in this, and it's still there, but this deep desire to absorb a ton of information, inner development, and then embody it, and then practice it, and then
Mm.
share it. I don't know why. I feel like I don't have a lot of time. Well, I am like, older. So maybe that's why. But, in my mind, I'm like, you know what, Anna? Like, let's go. Let's do this.
Well, I think something about getting to, I hate to say an older age. I mean, I'm 53 and I definitely feel a sense of urgency in a way that I never did before.
Yeah.
But it's also good. Like, it's also like I feel better than I ever have before.
Mm.
And I feel happier and more content.
Yeah.
than I ever did before. I may not be where I ultimately want to be, but to me, I'm like, where is that exactly? Because really, it's everything. Your life is in the daily, is in the learning, and is in every single day. So, I mean, people say, oh, if you're waiting to get to something to be happy, then you're just never going to get there. And I think that sometimes it just doesn't truly resonate with people. They still truly think that, yeah, but if I just, but if I just, but if I just. And I think sometimes, you get to a point, or I have at this point, I'm old enough now where I'm like, I better start making the most of this very day right now. What am I going to do today? Because what if this was everything? How much could I make of this right now? So
Yeah.
there's something about getting to this age too, where, yeah, you realize that time is, getting a little bit shorter, but I think it's good because it makes you take some action where you don't feel
Yeah.
like you've got all the time in the world.
That's right. That's right. I'm with you 100%. I'm 52, gonna be 53 in June. And so it's so funny how we're both so in alignment there.
Mm.
I always say we were meant to cross paths for whatever reason. It happened for whatever reason. And so here we are. But enjoying the journey, because there are people that are billionaires or millionaires that aren't happy,
Right.
and then you have people that don't do too well, in based on what we see success as in a dollar amount of how much you make a year, that are the most fulfilled people in the world.
Hmm.
And so, when it comes to manifestation, in my mind, like, it's one of those things, and someone might be like, well, what the hell does manifestation mean? And so the best way for me to describe it and how I see it is whatever you have in your mind becomes your reality through your senses, through all your senses, or your internal world. This didn't come from me. This is like based on books and everything I'm learning, is mirrored. Your external world is mirrored from what's happening inside your world, inside of yourself. So, like, that's the best way, simply put, how to describe manifestation. If someone is like, well, yeah, what does manifestation mean?
I was just going to say that is the perfect way to describe it. That really resonates with me because I know that, like you said, you've got something in your head and something in your heart, and it's like a mirror that happens where, and I forget how you just put it, but it was perfect. It was like how what's going on in here is kind of material. Anyway, I just butchered that, but however you
No, you
described
didn't.
it was great.
No, you got it. What's going on inside is materialized on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you were on it. You were saying it. That's exactly it. So with, it's like one of those things, like, whatever, everything we say is a manifestation, right? It's like what we say about ourselves, what we say about our kids, about our work, our schedule, all the things, we're manifesting that on a daily basis. And it's so funny because, a lot of people might be like, okay, okay, great. I'm getting this concept, but manifestation, there are tools, right? So there's all these different tools that we could use, whether it's through visualizing, meditation, affirmations, breath work. There's all these tools that we could use because everyone is different. We're all unique. Maybe breath work doesn't work for one person, but affirmations do. I do great with affirmations. Like, they land well and it's completely changed my life. But whereas someone else might be like, oh no, I like to visualize. Like, I love visualizations, or maybe it's sensory, feeling into all those things.
Hmm.
So every one of us, we're so unique in our own ways. It's incredible.
And I learned by practice that I have each day. I had sort of had a practice that I was kind of doing based on what I felt worked well for me, what felt right. It wasn't that I had read any books. I hadn't really done any research on it. Just knowing where I was 30 years ago and my circumstances there, and how everything that I'm doing now was that dream then. I remember having these visions in my head. They were just back there. They weren't like I was just having a vision, but it was always back there somewhere. And now we have gotten there. And I think that one way that we can describe manifestation, or that it has been in my experience, is that, again, it's just that materialization of what's happening, but your mindset and what that energy of what you're thinking is the thing that is going to wind up coming to pass. For me,
Mhm.
it has been. It's almost like when people talk about mindset, it's like what you think about and how you perceive things and how you look at things, how you choose to look at things, in a way that's kind of manifestation, because, or that's the act of manifestation for me, because like the way that you choose to look at things is the way that the universe says, oh, okay, that's how it's supposed to be. All right, well, we're going to go in that direction. And that's been my experience really time and time again. And I had no real experience with applying this practice or applying any sort of strategy. It was just something that it was kind of a knowing again, it just sort of, and it happened. But that's where but I was driven like you, and I had, purpose like you, that I wanted to continue to grow and to continue to contribute in some way. And I think that where you spend your time, that saying, like, what is it? Where your attention goes, energy flows, or
Where your
something.
focus goes, energy flows. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've really found that to be true. And then, I mean, in your business with coaching hairstylists, I know you coach stylists. Like I was saying before, I feel like I know we pour into our clients as well. How would you help somebody kind of like, if they're just starting and trying to understand this whole concept and it's still really fuzzy, and they're like, but yeah, but I'm not happy here. I wish this, I want this, I don't have it. Just where would somebody even begin?
Manifestation, I think, if people see it as a tool to create, it's used as a tool to create, to heal, to empower, to connect spiritually so that you create and fulfill like the best life. You're a successful business. It could be massive, right? It also creates massive success in the relationships that you have with yourself, with your children, with all the people around you. Okay, so people might be like, okay, great, that sounds wonderful. Now, how do I put that into practice, right? So I'm going to kind of split it up. Let's say in regards to business, if they want to use that for their business, okay, well, how do I manifest? Most likely they want something. They dream of something. Maybe it's a certain dollar amount. Maybe it's having their own suite. Maybe whatever, fill in the blank. Maybe it's working less. Okay, great. So I say the first thing to do is get clear on what it is you want. Because if you're not clear, you're going to be like a ship on the water and it's just like aimlessly going anywhere. The wind's kind of blowing you in whatever direction. So get super clear on what you want. It sounds so simple, but write down the things that you want for your business. You could even divvy it up. Like you could have separate columns: business, relationship, finances, career, spirituality, whatever it is that you want to create in your life. You could start with that. Get clear, number one. And then if you're like, oh, but I'm having a hard time, I don't know, then just ask yourself, well, what don't you want? I don't want to be broke. I want more money. Okay, let's get more specific though. I'll tell you why. Because if you say you want more money, you might walk outside the door, find a penny on the ground, and the universe is like, there you go, there's your money. You're not specific. You got to be specific, right? So like, it's maybe it's an income goal. Maybe it's 70,000. I don't know. Maybe it's 100, 200, but be freaking specific. Write that down. Okay, great. Once you're clear, and this is like a mindset shift hack. I just spoke about this in one of my last episode, How to Train Your Brain to Be Your Bitch. And I was like, okay, that's
I
catchy
haven't listened
title.
to that yet, but I'm on it. I
and
love
and
that.
this is a simple 5-minute ritual that people could do. Now, ritual means a practice that you put into play, because guess what? Things aren't going to happen if you just sit down and wish for it. So you got to do something, right? So basically, 5 minutes, grab a piece of paper and a pen, write down things that you want, okay? 3 things. Or better yet, write down what you're grateful for. I'm grateful that I have these hands to transform people. I'm grateful that I'm breathing, that I'm alive today. And then another thing you could do is then you're going to write down just one negative thought that you have. So maybe someone's like, I can't lose this weight. And don't overthink it, just one negative thought. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it around to, I am in the process of losing this weight. What you do is the gratitude part of it is lifting your vibration. And the other part is you shifting a negative thought into a positive one. And literally, you just spent 5 minutes shifting your mindset in 5 minutes. Now, if someone's like, that's all it takes. So I'm going to do this one time. And then like the rest of my life, I'm going to have this positive mindset. I'm here to tell you, hell no. Like this
No.
is something that you do every single day. It is a practice. And I have a story of something I could share, but
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
you want to share
Def-
something.
Definitely. Absolutely. I would love to hear. Before you do that, I want to just tell you that I have learned so much from listening to your podcast, and it has helped me to put into practice the thing that I do daily. Because when you talk about the 5-minute ritual, well, mine's turned into like 45-minute ritual,
Yeah,
but
I love
I
it.
but you had said, I think I remember you saying, the first thing, you do is you think about what are you grateful for. It
Uh-huh.
gives me a formula to go by. So I'm not just out here, then all of a sudden I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
And so you say, well, I think about what I'm grateful for. And this whole process kind of shifts your mindset really from the negative to the positive. And then you write that down and then you kind of visualize it, or you sit and you kind of reflect on it. Let that sort of like wash over you. I heard you say, let that gratitude
Yeah. All
wash
those
over you.
feelings.
And then you do your affirmations, and you were saying that works very well for you as well. And the affirmations have been a part that I've incorporated into my practice as well. And it has been really amazing. And it is taking that way that you thought about things before and putting them into, even if you're not there, because I felt like, it used to be where they would be like, oh, I am so rich. I am so this, I am that. And you're like, I don't buy that
Yeah.
bullshit because that's
Yeah.
just not right. And you
Uh-huh.
can say, I'm in the process.
Right.
I'm learning how I'm doing. And then that feels more in line and authentic with what's really going on. And I wanted to tell you that has been huge for me. So I wanted to share that because I love that.
Mm.
But I want to hear about your story. Please share.
Yeah, yeah. And then I want to add on to what you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
We have
yeah, I
so
want to,
much we can talk about.
I know. I wanted to add on to what you were saying because I'm trying to put myself in maybe people's shoes that are listening to this. Well, there's two things coming up. One is, and I'll just stay on topic and then I want to share something else. But one is that maybe someone is like, oh, so basically you're lying to yourself. And I love how you cleared up, but I'm in the process of, wanting 100,000 or whatever. I'm in the process of having 100,000, right? And so in my mind, and what I like to explain to people is the reason why you're saying that also, I just want to add on to that, is because then what happens is your brain starts seeing evidence. It starts seeing opportunities that are out there to create more income, to help you towards making that money. Because what we say out loud, our ears take in. And then what happens is those words get imprinted in our brain, in our subconscious mind. And what I've learned, which was so trippy, Sarah, is that 95% of our reality, our life that we're living, is from our subconscious, which is the deeper part of our brain. And then only 5% is from our conscious mind, which is the analytical part. So the work, everything that we say, everything that we're listening to, whether it's news, other people that we have around us, the music we listen to, we're getting programmed. And
Hmm.
that's going to our subconscious mind. And it has no filter. It's taking it in. So if you're like, oh, I'm broke, life sucks, life sucks, it's going to be like, okay, cool. You're broke. So you remain broke. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're like, no, I am in the process of, you know, making 100,000 or I have 100,000, however you want to say it, that aligns, like you were saying, then what happens is your brain starts searching for evidence. It's top of mind. You start scrolling on the gram and you start, or maybe you're Googling different things. So maybe instead of, ooh, what's the trendy hair color for 2025? You're Googling, how could I make 100,000? How could I make,
Yeah.
more
Right.
income? Things like that starts making you focus on the thing that you want to manifest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just read a book. Now it's gonna leave me, but it's Dr. Ellen Langer, The Mindful Body, I think, has been huge. And she was saying that we have a lot more control over outcomes and results, even our health, because our mind and our body are not two different things like
That's
people
right.
think that they are.
Yeah.
They are one thing.
Yeah.
And the way that you believe in something, the way that you think about something, literally affects the results or the outcome of your health.
Yeah.
And it's like if your brain is searching or has something top of mind, those will be the things, like you said, that will come up. She said, if somebody she said she had a friend who had been in remission. She had cancer. She went into remission. She said, they say I'm in remission. And she said, I thought about that. And she said, I thought they're saying she's in remission, but if she and I went and had the same test done, we'd both be found to not have cancer. Why don't they tell her she doesn't have cancer
Right.
rather than tell her she's in remission?
Right.
In her mind, she's going to think it's going to come back. It's going to come back. But if you have a cold and you get over the cold, you don't have a cold anymore. You don't think you don't think, oh, it's the same cold if I get another one. It's
Yeah.
not it's like, it's the mindset. You won't even search for a cure. You won't even search for the things that are making your condition better, making your symptoms better, because you're in your mind, you're like, it's kind of hopeless. So if you're not even searching for any sort of a solution to anything, well, it's sure not going to come. Whereas if you've got it in your mind, you've got a hell of a lot better chance of getting somewhere, depending on where your brain is at with things. I just went in a whole big circle, but that's just the
No,
fact.
I love what you're saying about the mind-body connection. We are probably the most powerful beings on planet Earth. And there are theories that back in the day, manifestation it was kept a secret. I mean, you look at the law of attraction, right? And so it was meant for the elites, the secret society, the royalty, the king and queens, and so why? You might be wondering, well, why the hell was it kept from the mainstream public, like all the other humans? And, one of the reasons is because they want its control and power. We would become easier to control.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that we are so much more powerful than you think. And our thoughts are one of the most powerful tools that we have. And just like you're talking about how when it comes to your health, when it comes to your business, when it comes to making daily decisions every single day, when it comes to are you reacting or responding, where does it all stem from? Right between our temples, that mushy thing right between our temples. That's where it all comes from. And I've said it time and time again, like I feel as people right now, because inner development and manifestation, all this stuff, like everyone's talking about it because they're noticing the old way isn't working anymore. So many more people have anxiety in like the highest levels of levels. Anxiety is a normal emotion, but I'm talking about chronic. And 9 out of 10 times, my husband suffers from anxiety. I asked him, I heard Eckhart Tolle say this, and he's an author of The New Earth. And he said, if you are anxious, just ask yourself, what am I thinking about? Is it the future or the past? And I'm telling you, 10 out of 10 times, you're either worried about something in the future or like upset about something in the past. And we get in our heads. And so like so many people are suffering mentally. That's why you hear about mental illness and all these things. And I just think that we're in a time where it really is about managing our thoughts and using manifestation tools, whether it's affirmations, calling in favor into your life, right? So like one of the things I say is you can't expect positive circumstances in your life if you're talking negative all the time. You can't expect abundance if you're talking lack, right? One of the things I like to say, I also said this in the last podcast. I said, picture yourself 2 to 3 years from now. Pay attention to what you're saying about yourself. You know, is it, I'm so stupid. I suck. Or there's no way that'll ever happen for me. Or who the hell I am. And I'm telling you, I'm saying this because I've been through it all and I still struggle. It will still come up. The There's this one woman and she's got like, I don't know, $7 million coaching industry. She's like, guys, I have anxiety and I'm still a hot mess, but I could get out of things a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I could get out of it. I could pop out of it a lot quicker instead of mentally spiraling and becoming a prisoner of your own mind. And so it's really standing guard at the door of your mind. It's like for those you want to regulate your nervous system, dive into manifestation tools, whichever one resonates to you for you.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely true. And as I have practiced just in the crude way that I have without having a lot of knowledge behind the how to do it, I think just knowing that the way that you choose to think can get you out of almost anything. You
Yeah.
mentioned Eckhart Tolle, and he said, all you have is right now. That's all there really is. There isn't anything else.
Yeah.
And so where are you right now? Are you okay right now? Because that's all you have to manage is the now. This very second's all you have to manage.
Right.
And so if you can kind of think about it, and that helped me a lot, snapping out of this anxiety and the spiraling, like you were talking about, if you didn't use manifestation or mindset tools for any other reason, other than to help yourself have some control over feelings of anxiety, that makes your life so much higher quality just in and of itself. If you know that you actually have a choice the way that you think about something, the perspective you take on something, knowing that the way that you think absolutely controls an outcome, there's a lot of power in that. And I think that's why it's so transformational.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was at the beauty store. I went to Cosmoprof. I had to pick up color. And the woman was so sweet working behind the counter. And we were like chatting it up and stuff. And she's like, oh, flu season's around the corner. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get the flu. I'm like, she was already, she's like,
Right.
I'm like, well, how do you know you're going to get the flu?
Yeah.
But she was saying it. It was as if, oh no, it's inevitable. It's happening. Yeah, we might drop comments like that, but like, catching yourself.
Catching
And that's what
yourself.
this work does.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And then you just train your brain. You really do. You're training your brain.
It is incredible. And that's really, that is why I wanted to do this episode. I would love to do another episode too, because there's just so much to it. But I get very excited talking about it because it really has unlocked like the key to knowing that you can control a lot of shit.
Hell yeah.
You didn't think you could. You're not at the mercy of just your circumstances.
Yeah.
You really can do unbelievable, incredible things with this. And I'm much better about living in the now, but I'm also very much excited about the future. Even as a 53-year-old, like I'm excited for because this is like the best time of my life now. And a lot of it is due to that. And I really want people I would love for more people to understand that it's real. It's scientifically proven.
Yep.
It's not just like woo-woo. And your brand, the woo-woo hairstylist, I just want to talk about that for a second because I just love that play on really putting it out there that, this is something that I incorporate into my business. Also making it a little bit of like a tongue-in-cheek thing. It's just, it's just so clever. But it's a big part of your business and a big part of the way that you show up and the way that you coach and teach hairstylists. And I'm sure with the impact that you have, on your clients as well.
Yeah.
How do you integrate the positivity and the mindset and things like that? Was there any way that you sort of can work that empowerment into your clients, like
Yeah.
behind the chair as well?
Yeah, absolutely. What I've noticed for myself is going into work, I have this daily practice that I do that I could hold space for these wonderful people that sit in my chair that are going through shit. And I'm better able to help them versus many years ago be bitching with them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And
Yes.
I was there, trust me,
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, motherfucker,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yes.
So we're talking like back in the day, like maybe a guy or something. And now it's like, and not to say it's anytime they're sharing things with me, I'm like, oh, but must be positive every single
Oh
time.
yeah.
Hell
No.
no. Like you
No.
got to be relatable.
Right.
I've had clients share with me how much I've helped. Maybe it's a podcast episode that I share with them a lot of times. And I love this. Like, let's say I'm learning something new. There's this woman, her name is Kim Anami, and she's a sex coach, right? So like she shares some juicy things in there. And I know who to share it with in regards to my clients. I mean, these are people, by the way, guys, I've been with for many, 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 many years. Like,
Yes.
I'm not saying you do this with new clients that walk in the door. These are people you have a relationship with. But I'd be like, hey, you want to hear this one thing, whether it's a podcast or the course part. And we talk about, we listen. Maybe it's a spiritual audible book that they share with me.
Mm.
Again, these are long-term clients.
Yeah.
In regards to new clients, let's say you're more of a newbie or you still have new clients coming in. This is going to serve you because if, let's say you have a difficult conversation, let's say someone comes in, maybe they're just not being logical. Maybe they had a tough day. Maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes. Without doing this practice, what could happen is you could just be totally reactive instead of responsive. And so, like I said, this regulates your nervous system. This makes you like meditation. If you think about it, you practice being in the moment. You are better able to handle those difficult conversations, and so it served me that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pricing. Here we
Oh,
go. Pricing. Holy shit, has it served me with pricing. So I remember, I'll give an example just so there's an actual example that people may be able to relate to.
I love what you said about difficult conversations. And pricing can be difficult conversations for
Yeah.
sure. So yes,
Yeah.
I want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had gone up in my extension prices,
Mm-hmm.
pretty significantly. And I had someone reach out to me. They texted me, hey, I'm looking to, get extensions, this, that, and the other. And I was, again, those feelings of nervousness of, oh my God, here we go. Just because you do this work doesn't mean that it may not come up. Okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it goes away and it never shows up ever again. Now, the old me, without doing this work, would have been like, okay, I'm going to give her the price and then I'm going to have a backup price that's less money. The new me was like, no, I know the value I bring. I give my all. I do my best work. I go above and beyond for my clients. Like, this is going to be my price. And if she could do it, great. If not, I'll offer another option. Okay. And then if that doesn't work, then she's just not meant to get them from me. I could clearly say that with like a whole conviction type of way. So before sending the text back, I literally said my affirmation of I am so deserving and achieving. I am so grateful and thankful that I am deserving of achieving success, and everything I do allows this to happen. I said that those babies 3 times before I sent the text to her, and when I did, she just responded, "Okay, cool," and I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
this is great." Now, someone might be listening and be like, yeah, but what if they didn't do it? Like I said, then you offer another option.
Mhm.
And if that option doesn't work, don't give in.
Right.
Just be like, oh, okay, maybe extensions might not work, but what if we do highlights, dimensional color? That's going to add some type of body. Maybe you could save. At least you know what the prices are. Maybe you could save up and then we could go to extensions.
Right.
Or maybe you do clip-ins instead of keratin. Clip-ins is a less permanent option. You're putting them in and taking them out. But what if you do keratin, versus keratin where they're in your hair for a few months?
Mhm.
So it's a process, but that's one of the ways that it's helped me.
It is a process. And I think when you have been in the industry long enough, or you've been in any industry, it could be our clients that are business owners, entrepreneurs, when you've been in something long enough and you have a real grasp of it and you are confident in it, you have a way that you can communicate, especially when you are practicing these mindset tools, that it doesn't give you the anxiety anymore. But it does take practice. And I know you
Mhm.
probably, and I'm sure you have a lot of stylists who you're coaching and you're teaching who have not been in the industry as long as you have. So
Mhm.
they may not have the confidence piece of even their skill. They
Yep.
may not feel like they totally have a full grasp on doing everything perfectly every time. Not
Yep.
perfectly, but maybe they don't have the consistency down yet to deliver on something. And maybe they don't feel worth the price that they're quoting and that reflects the value that they're giving.
Mhm.
But if they don't feel that they've truly got it down to where they can deliver a consistent result 100% of the time, what would you tell them
Mhm.
as far as standing behind that pricing?
Yeah.
And what would you say to a client who may not, well, we'll take it there first. And then,
Yeah.
you've got people who are listeners that are also on the other side of the coin who come to
Yep.
the salon. So then what would you say to a client then too as well? Like first the stylist and then the client, if they feel like they cannot justify the pricing.
Yeah, such a great question because being in the industry as long as we have, it's like let's take ourselves to the beginning. And so what I would say to that is first of all, give yourself grace, okay? Because we all had a first day. We all, started messy, trust me.
Yeah.
And in regards to hand tied, I learned hand tied was new for me. Okay? It was during the epidemic. I'm like, okay, my extension clients are asking about this service. And my first hand tied was atrocious. It was. It was freaking
Right.
horrible. Okay. When I look back at that picture, I was like, wow. Okay. So if people, if you are not aligned with your prices, it is going to show. And so what I say is, then how can you bring on the value? So what I teach is I say, maybe that means creating packages. Okay, packages that what could we add? What kind of experience could we add? Whether it's at the sink, whether it's included in your extension packages, and what price feels good to you, but it can't feel that good to you. You can't be too comfortable because you'll be like, oh my God, the less, I'll go with the lowest, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Right.
we were to ask our clients, like, how much would you pay? They're going to be like, free. I want it for free. So it's really you have to be aligned with your prices. And then maybe that means bringing on the value and creating
Mhm.
something that you're like, oh, hell yeah, I got this. And then it's also one of those things where you say, listen, I learned this new technique. I am so excited on what it could do for you. You give them 3 bullet points of how it's going to benefit their hair and say, I just learned it and I cannot wait because this is what it's going to do for you. Are you all in? Remember, they're going to feel your excitement. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, but okay, I'll get it. And you explain, look, I may be new, but I know that you could even say if you want, I'm a perfectionist, even though I feel a certain type of way about that word. But you could say, I am a perfectionist and I will give you the best extension work. And then the next time they see you, be like, okay, is there anything you weren't happy with that I can make better?
Mm.
And so it's really being honest, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But doing it effectively. And I know for me, when it came to hand tied extensions, like I said, the first time it was atrocious. It was so bad. It was bad, okay? But you just explain that to them, and then I remember a second time, I didn't build up my speed yet, and this was a new client, and I remember she was sitting in my chair, she's like, "Oh my god, this takes so long, like, is this gonna take long?" And I said, "Well, listen, right now it will." I said, "Until I get my reps in." I said, "I
Right.
know how I am as a worker, and I'm just I'd rather do it right than rush and then you not be happy with the service. I stand behind my work and I want you to be happy with it.
Mhm.
And so that's how you show up. Did I
Mhm.
get aggravated? Hell yeah. Deep down inside, I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course I got aggravated. I'm gonna keep it real. But like, that's what you say. Hey, do you want me to put on a movie? Like if you have a laptop, if you have a suite or whatever, or would you like a cup of coffee? Do you need a bathroom break? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then just stay focused and do your best. And like with anything, everyone has a first messy day. And then with repetition, you get good. And just to give yourself grace, guys,
Yeah.
all us hairstylists didn't start off with like doing the best work. We have fallen on our face with different experiences. Sarah, maybe something's coming up for you that you might want to share. And then we get back up and we move on.
Right, right. How do you feel on the other side of the coin that a client could feel confident in the stylist when there is a price that it's a reach for them.
Yeah.
That's a reach. I mean, how would you empower a client who is looking to get a service done and they're not sure if they feel comfortable with the certain, like how would they navigate that? Do they look for somebody else, or like what would be a way that they could ensure that they're also going to be happy? Because we want want it to be a mutually beneficial service for both. So for a
Yeah.
client who's looking to get something done that may be a reach for them, how can they know that they're getting that they're making the right move?
So if they're not sure, and so two things are coming up for me. One of them is the budget thing. And then the second one is if the stylist is right for them. As long as the stylist is showing up and they know they did everything they could by having a very strong consultation, by answering all their questions, by not making that client feel rushed, by giving them the investment, by if they can't afford it, then giving them other options. And then you don't stop there. You then maybe say, hey, if you need to save, or I've even gone this far. I've said to people, and I really feel in my heart it comes back tenfold. If you need to still shop around, by all means, look around for the best stylist that you feel is a good fit for you.
Right.
These are my services. This is my offer. While you're on your journey of looking for someone, feel free to reach out. I will answer whatever questions I could. I'm here to help you. Like, I just want you to be happy. And I could tell you 9 out of 10 times they come back.
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
why? Because you were just there. I
Yeah.
wasn't just a number for you. It wasn't like, oh, she's not sitting in my chair, so goodbye, screw you. Like, next,
Yeah.
be there in a service type of
Yeah.
mindset. Serve.
Clients can feel it. They can feel
Oh,
if
yeah.
somebody is authentically there for them. They're willing to stand behind their work.
Yeah.
I think if someone is out of the price range and they're not going to deliver the value, not they don't care, that kind of thing. I think just really listening to that inner, is the energy right? Is it the right thing for me? I think there's nothing more beautiful than having that perfect client stylist relationship. I
Yeah.
know, because being in it for so long, I mean, and when it works, it's just like it's total magic.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of use your in every day, like what is like your practice look like in the morning? Like what is your actual routine? Like if somebody wasn't sure about this and they just wanted to start like small, like some
Yeah.
small action to be able to just start on this journey, because the whole thing could be just totally overwhelming. Like
Yeah.
what exactly does it look like?
God, I want to say two things, but I want to keep it simple. So my practice every day is the first thing I don't do is get on my phone and scroll.
Mm,
That's my first practice. The second thing is I have my cup of coffee. I serve myself a cup of coffee. I find my favorite spot. Doesn't have to be a big deal, but you could find like a quiet spot in your home. Maybe you light a candle if you want to be a little extra with it. And like I said, start with the gratitude. Start with that. Start shifting your mindset. That's where it starts. And write 5 things you're grateful for, 3 to 5 things. And then at that point, let those feelings wash over you. Really
Mhm.
just 2 minutes in silence and let
Mhm.
it wash over you.
Yes.
And that alone is going to start again. shifting the way you are for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
Because when
Mhm.
you pour into yourself, you could pour into others. When you
Yeah.
pour into yourself, you could hold space for others, right? What do? We're so close to our clients. We have our hands in their hair. You know,
Mhm.
we're talking, they're expressing things. That's one thing. I'm going to give
Okay.
one other practice. So, you know how I said about creating your vision, being clear on what you want. Okay, so you made that list. Make it into a story. I woke up at 7:30 in the morning. I hopped out of my bed, my cozy bed with like cozy, soft sheets. And I wake up, I have my cup of coffee, I'm looking out the window, I see land surrounding me. I open my schedule. I am booked with extension clients. I feel so good. I feel so grateful. Like, get into specifics. How are you feeling? Oh my God, my body is so strong. It was able to lift me out of this bed, like whatever, right? Make it into a whole story. And
Mm.
then what you could do is you could laminate it, put it in your freaking shower and look at it every day. Or look at the story every day once in the morning, once before you go to bed. You could even have like your favorite spa music in the background or something.
Yes.
So that's another little practice that you could do.
I love the story part of it because so many times meditation is a part of manifestation. And I think so many times when we think of meditation, we think it's really hard to do
Yeah.
because you've got to like, you get this picture of like, you got to sit still, you've got to clear your mind, you've got to get every thought out. And then it's like, what happens? You keep getting thoughts in and then like, you can't focus on anything. And especially if you're new and you just start with manifestation, it's like, what is the story that you want to be the design of your day? Think of your story, and that
Yeah.
helps with the visualization as well. And I think getting clear on what your vision is and what your goals and your aspirations are. I think putting it into story, we love story
Yeah.
as humans. Like we really, I think our brains kind of respond to story. So that really is amazing tool that I think people can use that would make it easier for them to start on this practice where they visualize themselves in this story of, a day in the life. How do you
Yeah.
want to design your day? Like, what do you want it to look like? Who you want to be? What do they do every single day? And then start to mimic it. That's
Yeah.
something I've started doing is I visualize, what is my vision? What do I want, that day in the life to be like? What's that like? And I
Yeah.
try to do my day as closely to that where I am now. I can't do it all because I'm not there, but I try to do as much of it as I can, get as close to it as I can. And it is that story, kind of that story of your life. And so I absolutely love that. I think that
Yeah.
is so, so valuable.
And everybody had like that's just one tool.
Yeah.
Meditation's another tool.
Mm-hmm.
Visualization is another tool. They're all
Mm-hmm.
different tools, and that one
Mm-hmm.
landed for you.
I sure did.
Yeah.
Everything you talk about on your podcast lands for me. I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Check that off the box. I don't want to keep you. I know we are just like at an hour now, and I could probably talk to you all day, but I appreciate the time. I want to ask you one more thing, and then we will say goodbye for now. But I'm interested to know kind of like what's the future for you? What are you looking forward to? And kind of like where do you see the extensions business going and your business going and all of
Yeah.
those things? Those are many questions in one.
Yeah. So I guess I'll talk about my business. I see my business and I already see things kind of shifting a little bit. Yeah, helping hair extension stylists with the marketing and strategies, using manifestation as a tool to support them in what they want in their life. But I've also been noticing being asked to teach in salon education on all the different hair extension techniques. So
Mm.
I have a friend, she's been in hair replacement for 40 years, Lisa. I've interviewed her and we've been talking about that. So I do see that happening for sure.
Mm.
In regards to manifestation moving forward, I do see myself deepening my practice, but with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca, which is plant medicine, is calling me and has been calling me. And there's a place in Costa Rica. It's called Rhythmia. And I've done my research and stuff. I feel really good about it. Yeah, I could see that happening with deepening my practice as one of the things. And in regards to the extension industry and where I think it's just going to continue getting better and better and better with all the extension techniques. There's always something new every year. I remember when I first started, it was carrot. This is back in 2000. It was keratin
Same.
extensions. Right. And then do you remember, like, after that, it was the beaded. Yeah, it was great
With
lengths.
great lengths.
That was like the number one, the go-to great lengths. Then there was the beaded method. And then after the beaded, the tape-in was the most popular, the hottest thing on the market. And then after that, it was the hand-tied. And
Mhm.
now it's the V-Light extension. So I'm curious to see where it goes. Unfortunately, a lot of people are struggling with thinning hair issues, and they are looking at vitamins and extensions. Like Modern Salon did a study, and they said that people are asking more than ever before about not only vitamins for thinning hair issues and treatments, but hair extensions.
Mhm.
So I just see the industry blowing up, never going anywhere. It's just not. It's been around for a millennia, if you think about it. If you think about Egyptian times, they had wigs.
Right.
Do you know they found mummies and there were like extensions
Oh
that
my,
was attached with like beeswax and something else. I remember this article that I read many years ago. It was so
that's
cool.
amazing.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's pretty much where I see the business go. I just see it flourishing.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it will continue to evolve because, like you said, people struggle. Not everybody can wear every type of extension either. And some
Right.
people have more severe challenges than others. And I think the technology just continues to
Yeah.
advance, which is so exciting. What we can do in the salon now is so much more advanced than what when I was back taking the Great Length certification in 2005, like, not everybody could wear that, not
Yeah.
everybody could wear that. And so it wasn't an option for everybody. And I'm excited about that too. And just being able to serve clients on a whole new level. And as more and more stylists get into offering these different types of hair enhancements and extensions, I think that your business is just going to continue to blow up because there's
Oh
such
yeah.
a need for it, and
Yes.
there's such a need for stylists to have that mentorship and that, someone to cheer them on.
Yeah.
It's been it's been, I mean, since COVID and everything else. And then you've got younger stylists getting into it. And it's just been, it's been kind of hard, for the
Yeah.
last several years, and someone to pour into them and something they can believe in. And I just think it helps everybody as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to leave it with that.
Yeah.
We've gone over time, but I just loved this conversation. I know that those who are listening will be taking a lot away from this. I'm excited about this episode. And I would love for you to share some of the resources and tools that you have within your business that are helping right now. I know you have like programs. If you wanted to talk about that, we will make sure we'll put all of that stuff in the show notes as
Thank
well.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I do want to say, like, if people made it this far to the podcast, it's clear that there's something within you
Yeah.
that is eager to change and that's
Mm-hmm.
open to this. That's beautiful because, again, I feel like a lot of us need to wake up and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a desire that just doesn't go away, it is meant to happen.
Yeah.
It exists for you on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
I could really get into the woo with that, but we won't
I
go
know.
there.
Woo
And
woo hairstylist. I love it.
yeah, and don't give up on the dream because 5 minutes before you want to give up, miracles happen. I could vouch to that. I've heard it and I'm like, oh, I don't know until I experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone is wanting support in elevating their hair extension business and you feel I'm a right fit, Sarah, you'll provide the links in the bottom.
Absolutely.
But
Mm-hmm.
there are countless resources and educators out there. And I do have coming up a workshop, so maybe you be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
And yeah, I pretty much, I'm cheering every hairstylist on, and I just want the best for them because this business really is a beautiful, amazing business. And I just want the best for people
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
That really shows through in your podcast and all of your messaging. And I think that's what drew me to you. And it's very clear. So for those who want to access Anna's education and her coaching, you can all find Anna on Instagram at Woo Woo Hairstylist. Her website is Woo Woo, that is WOOWOO hairstylist.com. And be sure to tune into her podcast, because I have found that and I don't care if you're a beauty professional or you are a listener who's just interested in what it is that we're talking about today, because honestly, as I said, I started in the research side of things, and then I just was like sucked in to the really inspirational material. Woo Woo Hairstylist. It's WOO-WOO Hairstylist. Woo Woo Hairstylist.
Whoa,
On
whoa.
Whoa. I
Whoa,
know.
whoa. My husband always makes fun of me.
Woo, he
Whoa,
does.
whoa, baby. Woo woo's in the house. I'm
I
like, all
love
right,
it.
take it easy.
I love it. Your husband's gonna always have to make fun of you. What do we
I
have
know,
to do?
seriously.
It's like
Uh,
Woo Woo Hairstylist on anywhere that you get your podcasts, and we'll make sure and put all of that in the show notes. But Anna, again, thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I can't believe I got to actually meet you today and speak face to face. It's been an absolute joy. Thank
Aw,
you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me, Sarah. You're super sweet. Love
Oh
this.
my
Love
gosh.
this episode.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lessons from Your Hairstylist. I hope you found inspiration and actionable insights to embrace your unique beauty and elevate your life. Remember, it's all about taking small steps towards a happier, healthier you. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. Together, let's continue unlocking the secrets to living beautifully fulfilled. Until our next appointment, keep your thoughts on your visions, your self-talk kind, and remember to keep your heart open so you don't miss any opportunities waiting for you out there. I'll see you on the next one.